once and always. This is definitely a bit out of order for our actual recordings, but since it came out today, we decided to film this shit. So let's go. Thoughts,
Yeah.
everyone.
All right.
Personally, go ahead. I'll let
There you go.
Tyler go.
Okay. Gotta admit, I feel like my perspective will be a little bit different because, as 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 Yins know, I didn't grow up with Power Rangers. I I mean, I wanted to watch it as a kid, but never got around to it because I was a Cartoon Network kid and it was only ever on Nickelodeon. But I gotta admit, I really enjoyed this. I felt the production values were very good, and it was very nice seeing my favorite Mighty Morphin Ranger Billy again. And not to mention we get the return of Zach, who, correct me if I'm wrong, has not been in any form of Power Rangers media since Mighty Morphin season 2.
You are correct.
Yeah. And this is honestly the nicest they've treated Rocky.
Yeah.
Which makes me happy because I'm a Rocky fan.
You're on the fuck Jason squad.
Yes. Screw Jason.
Yeah, and we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Tyler, you've got to do it. You thought we'd never see Jason again.
Well, we kind of didn't.
Kind of, but he was there technically.
Well, I mean, that's not the only place he'll pop up in the continuity of what we're actually doing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he shows up again in Wild Force.
I think one
But-
other technically,
I'm not
come
going to
on.
say anything.
But I do wish that Rocky and Kat would have been more important, but it makes sense because this is focusing on the death of Trini and how it affects the people around her, namely Billy, Zach, and her daughter Min, which I thought Min was a very nice character.
Oh yeah, she seemed to be like a character who, if Power Rangers was done today, would be acting exactly like it. Like, if it was like the season 1 of Mighty Morphin, she'd be a character that would be acting like how they would today.
Yeah.
we got a little.
Also,
bit of
got to
that
admit.
Gen Z. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
There
saying
you
we
go.
got a little bit of that Gen Z representation there, a little bit of that humor in there as well, with her.
Yeah, and freaking Billy saying "catch these hands." I don't know why, but that just tickles me.
It was funny.
I was thinking to myself, it's like, this thing has cannons. It's like, I'm not gonna worry about getting in a fist fight with a monster if I have cannons strapped to my back.
And a giant
Well,
fuck
let's be
off
honest;
sword.
those cannons were never used.
Yep, they actually were used in Megazord fight. About 2 or 3 times.
Out of the 100 and some episodes of Mighty Morphin.
Now, granted,
Yeah.
all the other times that they've used the cannons, it was like in Megazord mode, and then it went back to tank mode. But a few times they actually used the cannons in Megazord mode.
It's still funny to think about.
Not to mention, I think it's kind of neat that the saber-tooth tiger morpher still had all the memories of Trini stored inside of it. Kind of like it was a memory card.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me to wonder, did Adam, Rocky, and Aisha and Kat experience that same sensation when they became Rangers.
They probably did.
Yeah, it definitely seems like from I know they're separate canon, but it definitely seems like every time there's a power transfer of any kind in the comics, they seem to go through the osmosis of going through the motions of being a ranger. Most recently, like Trini taking over Jason's role as Omega Red. It seems to be like she learned everything power-wise and fight-wise that he did as the Omega Red before, he got possessed by this demon, Death Ranger, and then kind of went feral and zombified mode, and then kind of lost his powers as Omega Red, and now he's just fighting through osmosis and morning mode with Tommy, because Lord Zed is also morphing now in the comics, because why the fuck not anymore? Everybody gets a goddamn morpher now.
Which you know what, that thanks to this, I thankfully have an idea about my Ranger campaign paramorphal activity. So thank you once and always.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll let someone else go, and then we'll kind of just do like our group think here.
Yeah, I guess I'll go now. Like, as someone who's seen pretty much everything in the franchise, including all the anniversary specials, if I was to rank this would be tied with Forever Red, the 10th anniversary special, as the best special. It blows the 20th anniversary special out of the water by a
without a
clear
doubt.
150-mile radius to the surface of the moon, in Rita's palace, to the dark dimension.
Pandora's palace, damn it.
What's a Pandora? I love that I love
palace.
Sorry,
because unlike when we get to the 20th anniversary special, it is just basically the bare basics of what an anniversary special is. This, and I said this to Vex just before we started, what I love most about this is that while it does focus mostly on Mighty Morphin, the Mighty Morphin Rangers, it does take the time to acknowledge the whole franchise. Like, you get little cameos, you get little cameo references from basically every era of the show.
Well, just to go off that really quick, when they initiate Pandora Protocol, on the screen it goes through a bunch of the home bases of various Ranger teams. You also see like the Lightning Collection figures being utilized as the tiny Rangers that get captured by Snizzard, and we'll get to that during the group think portion.
And
also, the legacy morphers being utilized as props instead of having to fucking fish out like the Zhu Ranger props. Love that.
It would have been a fortune if they were trying to find those now.
Well, I mean, JDF stole his, basically.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that brought a smile on my face is like they kind of explained what Billy has been kind of doing since he left for Aguitar.
Yeah.
He has basically become the Tony Stark of Power Rangers now.
Yeah. But yeah, if Zangetsu wants to go real quick with his initial thoughts here.
Yeah, I was thinking about saying something, and then it was like, oh yeah, Tyler hadn't got that far yet, so I can't talk about it. But the questions I had in my mind is like, how is this robot Rita possible? And they just, within like a span of like 2 minutes, here you go.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that.
They really wrapped a lot of it up really quickly and condensed 30 years into 55 minutes, so I really respect that.
And they really stuck to the continuity of events that happened. They didn't, like, because I saw a tweet, like, I saw several tweets of like, wait a minute, but this happened in this season, this happened in that season, how is that happen, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wait until you actually see the special before making assumptions like this. Or better yet, watch the trailer, because it does say, I am going back in time to before you became Rangers. Mm-hmm. But spoiler, that does not happen. There is no like bringing back characters from the dead. technically you can say that about Rita, but it's technically it is and it isn't. But yeah, like main
What?
heroes, once they're
Well,
dead, they are dead.
Well, also
Yeah.
Rita wasn't dead technically.
Yeah, just her evil had no container, basically.
Yeah.
Like, she's still walking around
Yeah.
doing other stuff that I won't mention because Tyler's not that far yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Rita is alive. Like her good
Yeah,
side
fair
is
enough.
alive. So that evil just not having a host definitely makes sense in the concept of this special. But I guess for me, as somebody who hasn't seen every season but has some basic knowledge of various seasons, here I'm going to try and not spoil future plot for Tyler, but because we're trying to get him through the whole series as we continue this like by the era stuff that we're doing. I will say I love the fact that we are utilizing 30 years of history here in the span of 55 minutes. I do have a couple faults that I found with the special. I think we'll all be in agreement here. I do kind of think this was a little dirty feeling, utilizing the death of Thuy as the whole main drive of the plot of the special. It kind of felt a little, icky, but also like it felt like it was handling that concept well at the same time. Like I do have some mixed feelings on that, utilizing the death of an actor.
I can see what where you're coming from, but to play devil's advocate here, it's not the special doesn't like.
It doesn't glorify her death. It does.
No, it treats it with like 100%. This is a serious situation for everyone, and at the end when Sack and Billy are saying to Mim, Trini's daughter, what Trini was like, it doesn't feel like they're talking about Trini the character. It feels like they're actually talking about Thuy herself.
Yeah. It does a great job of handling it, but I just kind of felt a little like, did we have to make so much about her death and not the adventure and trying to get, justice for her? Because it seemed like the death was a major, like, driving force of it.
Well, they did, and
yeah.
and to play devil's advocate again, it seemed like because of what happened with Thuy Trang, we can't really get like a proper like closure to her character. The most we've got is like she was sent off to the peace conference. This feels like it gives proper closure to her character,
and that's where I'm kind of glad they did this. So now that we can kind of move on from Mighty Morphin era in general, because like we can't really do anything with Tommy anymore. Because one, before he died, he retired from the role of Tommy, and two, well, now he's also passed.
Yeah.
So we can't really rely too heavily on Mighty Morphin moving forward. This was the cap on that era, I think. And I do like that we've kind of now have moved past the Mighty Morphin era in general.
Yeah, it feels kind of surreal that not only has this happened with Power Rangers, but it's also happened with Pokemon recently. Like we've moved past the Ash era of Pokemon, and now we're moving past the Mighty Morphin era of Power Rangers.
Yeah, well, I mean these actors are hitting 50. Some of them are.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, at a certain point, it's just gonna be impossible to have any of them show up.
Yeah, and it's like the case with Amy Jo Johnson, who people were pestering of like, why aren't you part of the special? Was it money? It's like, no, she just didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, she's in her late 40s and doesn't want to put spandex on. Like, I gotta respect the fact that she's just like, guys, I have my own thing now. I don't want to be a part of this. They still utilize. They still kind of utilize her character as a morphed asset here, and then one of the captured Rangers. But yeah, at the end of the day, like that was the extent of it. Just like Tommy and just like Jason, it's like boom, boom, boom. We wrap that shit up real quick.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention she's also, I believe she's like co-writing a story in the comic. So like,
yeah, that's her contribution to the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, and we just got confirmation like 30 minutes before we watched the special, like the Hyperforce comic. The Hyperforce tabletop is getting a comic, and the the Universe ones, with Mistress Vile, which is like a super buffed Morphin Grid powered Rita Repulsa. So, like, we're getting continuation of a lot of these seasons or stories that really have been overlooked inside that. If you want to go and consume that kind of media, go do it there and don't pester the fucking actors on Twitter. Jesus Christ. Like, your story is still being told to this day, basically, just in a different media, because, you know, once you hit a certain age, you're not going to want to get in a suit. It's like Harrison Ford, like, I don't want to fucking play Han Solo forever, people.
Just gotta say to everyone out there, would you want to be, if you were in not to say that Power Rangers or TV is mundane, but just like if you were doing the same job for 25 years or 30 years, wouldn't you say to yourself, yeah, I think it's time for me to take a break?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the job.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, yeah, if you love the job as well, but at the same time, at times you've got to think like, I want to take a break. I want to go and do something else.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have those people that are there for a pension at this point in their careers. You know, they want to do things to kind of have some sort of financial security in, like, the day-to-day. But you also have people that, like me, who want to try new things and go take, you know, massive risks and do all sorts of crazy things. So it just varies, like, what kind of lifestyle you want to live and how much risk you're willing to take in life. Let's take Amy Jo Johnson, for example, here. Like, she's a whole-ass director and writer now.
Yeah.
Do you think the woman wants to put on pink spandex for, 10 days on a set when she could be making more money writing or directing a movie? I know she said she didn't do it for the money, but, like, that's also a very real aspect to many, many, many facets of life. Like, I could make $5,000 for this, or I can, make $75,000 selling the rights to my movie.
Yeah, and she's been nominated for awards for being a director. So, so at some point, I want to actually sit down and actually watch one of her films.
That's something I have on my checklist too. But as somebody who's been consuming a lot of the comics for the last 4 or 5 years, I will say I'm very much looking forward to her story, which I believe is the subtitle of the comic line she's writing for Boom. I'll link the tweet somewhere in this, maybe, if I remember. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of shit going on for the 30th anniversary that's not just a special.
Yeah, we've got Cosmic Fury coming as well.
I'm very fascinated by that because this was one of those that was almost all original footage. There were clip shows at the end where he had Kimberly singing the song to Tommy and Thuy as the tribute. That was in the farewell episode when Tommy lost the Green Ranger powers. If I remember the exact episode that it premiered in.
I believe you're correct, and also as well, it from what I've seen or rumored is that Billy will be making an appearance in Cosmic Fury because it does seem I saw some tweets that said David Ghost, after finishing the special, was still in New Zealand.
I remember seeing that. I don't know the validity of said tweets because Ranger Twitter is fucking insane.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying it's rumors. But if it is the case, and Billy is in Cosmic Fury, I'd be a very, very happy buddy because this special Zack and Billy were essentially the main Rangers of this special.
Yep. And that's a big reason being how they were kind of shoved out the door. Billy because of the homophobia and Zack because they wanted to do the power transfer stuff pretty early on because of the union shit that was going on behind the scenes. So
and one last note. I love the relationship between Min and Zack. It I know Min calls Zack uncle, but it feels like a relationship between somebody and a father figure. It's just really wholesome to me.
Over under on homophobia on Ranger Twitter. Anybody want to take odds on that for the they're attacking my boyfriend line?
It was very literal. They were indeed attacking his boyfriend.
And again, I just want to say about people who say Power Rangers has gone woke recently. I'm like, have you watched Power Rangers? Particularly
Season 1.
If Power Rangers came out today, season 1, you'd be like going, a female being the main villain? How dare they? And newsflash, I forgot to mention this. I was going to mention this when we did the Turbo video, but from Turbo now onwards for the next few years, the main villains are females.
Yep. Well, I mean, we haven't filmed Turbo yet, but
yeah,
Zeo
I know.
We did. But there's honestly like 100 fucking villains that are female. It seems like in Power Rangers. But the one thing that bothered me in this, Zangetsu actually pointed this out. So they used basically the model for the Zap Megazord as the CG footage here. And you're right, like the arms were hella stubby on that fight. But particularly like it felt almost like a death battle style CG fight. Am I the only one that kind of knows that?
Yeah, I was kind of a bit like that.
Hey, I'm a sucker for death battle. I'm completely okay with that.
We all know, Tyler.
It wasn't bad. Like for all original footage, and compared to like some of the early CGI implementation of Power Rangers, this was the fucking best.
Now, considering comparing it to Toku levels, because they're known for like having like really bad CGI. That's way better than that. It's just it blows their CGI out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, a lot of Toku feels like Baby's first premiere project. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, and I've just looked it up about the swords as well. And this is what a tweet from Simon Bennett, because somebody actually questioned him about it.
That's where I got that from.
Yeah, we built the 3D models around the designs we were given by Hasbro.
Yep, and that model was used for the Zap Megazord, apparently. So that's where I'm basing that off of. So, like, there's not a lot that we can complain about there because it's what was provided. I imagine the original Zyuranger suit is like a molded piece of shit in the back of a warehouse somewhere.
They have an updated version of them, and they actually do take very good care of the suits.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah, that's why like that's why with certain scenes and stuff, especially like Zenkaiger, in which like they reused like the suits, and I was so shocked because even though some of those suits were new, some of those were like the old suits, and I was like, wow, they actually brought those out. Like, they used to keep those in storage.
I want whatever quality storage they have for the Toku suits, honestly, then. Jesus fuck.
They take really good, well, now they're, like back in the day when it was like first going in the, like, the early 70s days, they didn't give two flying F words about like
we're 20
the suit quality. They didn't give a fuck about like the quality of like the suits and whatnot.
Yeah. I killed our monetization on this video in the first 30 seconds because I knew it would get some sort of restriction because it's day one that we're filming this. But yeah, you're right. Like there's if those were like newer but still like some older suits in Zenkaiger, then yeah, they take good care of them. So I do kind of wonder on one hand why they didn't just get the remade Zyuranger suits, but at the same time, like that's probably cheaper to just do all that shit in house anyway. Like, why not?
Yeah, they would have to like wait for approval, which will take a long time. They have to wait for the costume to ship, and I don't think they'll,
Considering that some things could take like 5 weeks to get from one place to another.
Dude, I have
not that. They're like Dad and like could be super concerned about like what if we lose the suit while it's like shipping?
Yeah, I have a package that left like port a full ass month ago that I'm still waiting on for purposes, and like waiting on that package. I'm like, did my package just sink in the bottom of a fucking pier somewhere? Like, so I can only imagine like something as valuable as a Sentai suit. The fear of the production team for something like that when they can just do it in house because they have a 3D model of that shit.
Yeah, and let me guess that that shipment purpose
It has nothing to do with Control Chaos.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I was gonna say as a joke, like this is your new Chainsaw Man
No, it has
costume.
nothing to do with Control Chaos. It has everything to do with music.
Oh, okay, all right.
But yeah, it's something that's going to be a stage prop for a concert. That's all I'm gonna say. But the funny thing for me right now is like we're 3/4 of the way through Turbo, for the purposes of this video, and not one Turbo Ranger got sucked into this fucking machine. It was Zeo. It was like Wild Force. It was Lost Galaxy. It was
Lost Galaxy.
I mean,
Dino
if we
Thunder.
want to be technical.
if we want to be technical,
fine, I'm not gonna be an ass today on technical.
I mean, the only ones that kind of make sense would if this takes place simultaneously with Cosmic Fury would be the Dino Fury Rangers. That don't get sucked into this machine. That would make sense.
Right? No, we had Beast Morphers even. That's the funny thing to me. But I mean, technically, yes, we had Turbo Red and Turbo Yellow here sucked into this machine, but like suit wise, we had Mighty Morphin Green and Zeo Yellow. But yeah, but it's just funny to me. Like even Rita was like, "Nah, fuck that shit. I ain't touching that one."
It's like, oh, we got enough already.
That season shit on enough.
And just a bit jab fun of myself, for some reason I thought the red Dino Thunder suit was the red Zeo suit,
which would be awkward because it would be like having two Tommies there.
I mean, one's Lord Dracon and one's Tommy. There we go. Fuck it. It's so
It's like, I went back in time. Oh wait, my entire plot is about me using their power for go back in time. How did I go back in time and take this? That would have been a
continuity error inside of a continuity error there.
But they didn't do that, and I hand clap.
I was shocked that they maintained continuity because we're so used to those little plot holes going back to all the seasons.
Yeah, I think the biggest one as well for me related to continuity is potentially Billy must have repaired the powers on Aquitar of the because remember in season 3 of Mighty Morphin they got damaged, but they technically did not get destroyed. So it's more than likely Billy repaired them on Aquitar.
Yep. The funny thing to me is like they were proxy coins, like they were limited in their powers.
No, I'm not talking about the proxy coins. I'm talking about like the coins that we used.
The original Dino coins.
In the beginning,
not destroyed.
In the beginning, like when we have the first scene of them fighting Rita.
Yeah, he must have repaired them in some capacity on Aquitar, and then found a way to clone the powers essentially to give to
Yeah.
But the Ninjetti coins, on the other hand, those jokers gone.
Yeah, they're gone. They're gone. They're never coming back.
That's okay. We don't want any more disemboweled birds.
And also, we don't want any more metallic armor.
Jesus.
I didn't care about the metallic armor. I just wanted the ninja suits. They were cool. I wish they used them more.
Honestly, yeah, they were cool.
What about Ninja? Why does everybody Ninja?
I love Ninja.
Also,
I'll
take
as well, Ninja over fucking Auric.
Yeah, and also as well, this does Billy repairing the coins does make sense because Sordon, as we know, he discovered the coins. He didn't create them, so he would have had no idea how to repair them in the first place.
which means Billy is the smartest person on that fucking universe. You know?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
like I said when we were watching it, he's basically Tony Stark now.
It's
of
like
Power
you gotta
Rangers.
think about it because he made the Z Omegas
Mm-hmm.
And now, and now he's
and
traveling to and from.
potentially helped work on like the turbo stuff before, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that because I have my major theory about why they stopped using the seal powers, and we'll talk about that when we get to Turbo. But yeah, Billy now traveling between Aquitar and Earth,
And also potentially other galaxies at this point.
yeah, and other Power Rangers locations. He's getting about all the time now.
I love that they kind of touched on his romance too, because they're like, yeah, she misses you, baby. You know.
Yeah, and this actually opens up because since this was all original footage, if David Yost wants to do another one, this opens up possibilities for him to come back because he was the first one who came out and spoke out about doing the 30th anniversary.
Well, he's been planning something along this lines for a while now. Apparently, like he's been pitching it, some kind of reunion for a while. But it kept getting turned down by Saban.
Yeah, and now that Saban's no longer in the picture, we could get a special focusing on Aisha and Adam and possibly Billy, because this pretty much confirms that Aisha and Adam are the founders of SPD. This special.
Yeah, we got Space Patrol Alpha being put in, and we're just going to use that as like a placeholder till they confirm or deny that it actually stands for Alpha.
And now this doesn't explain how. Again, it goes back to the problem with Tanya that I've mentioned in other videos. This doesn't explain how Aisha. This special doesn't explain how Aisha got back from the past into the present day.
Yeah. You're right.
That is my biggest problem. Like, if David Yost wants to do another special, I beg him to address this plot point.
So also
Morphin Grid. I don't know.
Also, we have confirmed that JJ is canon, which was the name of Tommy and Kat's kid in the Soul of the Dragon comic as well. They use that name here. So, you know, that Tommy and Kat definitely in that comic were part of helping with SPD as well. Because
they got their fuck time on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said you're not a fan of the whole like joke you were doing, but like. Of STD, but they definitely got their fuck on, and they had their offspring, and then 20 years later in that comic, JJ kind of takes part in the actual plot of that, being along the lines of SPD as well. And it also includes the Master Morpher, which we know is technically canon, thanks to the last episode that Tommy was in.
Yeah.
So they've confirmed a bit of the comic canon in this episode.
Yeah. So Aisha being here is really my only real nitpick, aside from one other one, and that is we get a mention of Ernie, but not Lieutenant Stone. Like, out of all the Mighty Morphin supporting cast, he is the only one that doesn't get a mention.
Yeah, we even have Bulk and Skull cameo there with their sandwich shop bulletin board as well. So, yeah, Lieutenant Stone was the only one that didn't pop up. But, I mean, the juice bar being there makes sense because it was a major set piece. The quarry being there was a major set piece. The abandoned cliff, major set piece. Lieutenant Stone really didn't have a set piece until Turbo.
Yeah,
taking over the juice bar.
Yeah, and that's not. I think
he also had the detective agency though.
I just realized is that the quarry, the quarry scene? Was that the quarry in Dino Thunder?
It might have been.
No, it has to be because they film in the same spot in New Zealand.
Yeah, it had to have been. It's like how with Toei, and they always have that seaside cliff with the rocks in the
Well, yeah, that's kind of their beach,
yeah.
sort of.
So it's kind of like the Power Rangers New Zealand quarry. That's their quarry.
Yeah,
the
honestly.
the shining star of Tokusatsu, the quarry, the legendary quarry.
I mean, there's not a lot else we could do for that, I would assume. I'm getting a thumbnail available here really quick while we're filming. But there's not a lot else that they could do scene-wise for the quarry, because didn't they blast the old mine that used to be part of Toei scenes a few years ago because it was too dangerous to film on?
Yeah, I think they did. Can't really remember, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason.
Because I remember like they were shooting Ultraman a while back, and it was too unstable to continue filming on. But I don't remember if it was that quarry or another quarry that Toei owned, considering they basically own an entire district.
Yeah, because they have a few. There's also the quarry by the abandoned warehouse, and they shoot a lot of scenes there as well.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about Toei is they basically own major parts of Japan just to film this shit on.
That is incredible.
I mean, honestly, like they 3D scan some of that shit in for anime too. When you see like abandoned city districts in anime, like that's just 3D shot from some of those areas that they own.
Oh, by the way, speaking of which, it seems like Angel Grove's economy has become stable in the last 30 years because there's no mention of the abandoned buildings district.
Not yet. I find it funny that they mention like the putty patrols who haven't been seen in quite some time are here in Angel Grove attacking. They fucking know. They know the names of the monsters even. That's what's so funny.
That's what's so funny, and a reference to the latest with that scene, a reference to the latest series of Power Rangers. Considering
that was a Buzz Blast correspondent from Dino Fury.
Yeah, it was, and that's a reference as well. If anyone's seen the ending of Dino Fury, they mentioned we're opening Buzz Blast in Angel Grove, so it wouldn't surprise me if this takes place parallel to Dino Fury.
Yeah, I would assume it kind of does, considering like timeline-wise, it all seems to correspond relatively well within the canon. Like we have two non-timeline series in RPM and Dino Charge. Those take place outside the main continuity of the series. That's confirmed by Hasbro / Saban / Simon fucking Bennett here. Which God bless him for revitalizing the series.
Yeah, again. We need to change his name to Simon Holy God of Power Rangers Bennett.
I wouldn't fillet him that much, but I would love to pick his brain.
I know.
One of these episodes, like when we do Cosmic Fury, I would love to get him on this shit. But it seems like every actor or everything that I've reached out to in the last few months has just been like, doesn't line up with my timeline.
Which again, that does make sense. Like,
a lot of these people are like super busy that I've reached out to. Like some of them are shooting long-running series right now, and it just doesn't line up with them. Some of them are just not wanting to do anything Power Rangers related anymore, and that's totally their choice.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's their choice. I'm not going to pester them for 1,000 years like some people. If you don't want to be a part of it, you don't want to be a part of it.
Right, and let's say if they did do it, like hypothetically, and they didn't enjoy it, well, you would not get very good product because they'll just be phoning it in.
Right,
and that's not great.
Yeah, and there's people that have been pestered for dozens of years at conventions, like, hey, what were your thoughts about this? And they hear the same questions 1,000 times. It's like, oh god, if we appear on this podcast, I'm just going to get the same fucking questions. Please, like, make it stop. You know?
Yeah. But one other thing I wanna bring up in reference to the original season 2 of My Morphin, and it was the first note I took on it was the first note I took from the trivia on the wiki page, is that this special is the first time, but actually Walter Jones is in the same scene with Adam, Rocky, and Aisha in original footage.
Not
Because-
shocking, but
Because if you remember, they came when they first came into season 2, all those episodes with them were stock footage of Jason, Trainee, and Zach.
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense. It's not super shocking, but it is kind of like, oh shit, right? Like these people never actually met.
Yes. Yeah, same thing with Zach and Kat.
Oh yes, this is the first time Zach has been with Kat.
Yeah, because she appeared relatively later. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, technically, like, on screen they appeared together, but it was, like, stock footage interspliced. So.
Yeah. But now it's like with the actual actors there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, honestly. I did not expect that to be a thing, but you're right.
Yeah, and it just amazes me how well they all work together in this. It does feel like they have history, even though this is the first time we're actually seeing them interact with each other officially.
In a sense, they do have history together because they've all appeared at like places like PowerMorphCon and the road trips and all this shit that they've been to together, convention wise. Like they've met, they've interacted. They were like, oh, shit, cool,
Yeah.
You were the one that replaced me. Yeah, what's up, man? But at the same time, like on screen, like that's a different vibe. You have to act, you have to go through lines, you have to do a lot of like actual shit on screen. So getting that chemistry down right, it's something entirely different than like, yeah. So here's 8 Power Rangers actors. We paid them all to be here. Here's a Q&A. You can phone one in, you can't phone the other in. Which is why I have like massive respect for like appearing on screen and doing a special like this and actually having great chemistry together. I don't know how many takes each scene took, obviously, because I didn't work on it, but it's definitely a massive vibe that these people really do have this massive respect for each other.
Yeah, and I feel like part of the reason why it worked so well is because even though you have mixed feelings about it, it had to have been the story that was concocted for them. Like just like we said, just giving closure to Trini's character and just seeing them like, okay, this is where everyone is. They're going on with their lives, and like they say, once a ranger, always a ranger.
And there's always been that camaraderie between all the Ranger actors, so you have to kind of have this like immediate respect for each other because you've all been part of this long storied franchise, and trying to wrap up a part of your life essentially is this. It's a heavy weight to you, but at the same time, like you also want to get through that, and not having that part of you there, because regardless of everybody's feelings towards each individual actor, not having them on screen to tell their own story, you feel this kind of like, I need to carry the burden for this person. I need to tell the story for them. And you can tell, like, through the years, they form this bond. Like, Thuy, JDF, and so many of these other actors form this bond. But at the same time, like, not being able to share the screen for this, it had that emotional weight of, like, I want to get this right. That's kind of just, like, how I feel going into this,
Yeah, because it really could have gone so wrong so quickly.
Oh, I had, like, very low expectations for it when I heard, like, the actual plot of it. That's why I'm actually very, very surprised at how good in quality this was. Also, it being, like, this production hell for so long, coming from like a background of video games mostly for me, outside of this, like when you hear production hell, like David Yoss' script and everything being tied up, and like we don't want to be a part of this for so long, you kind of have this like, is it actually going to be good? But once you see it and actually review the product, it's very, very, very good. It was just them not wanting to write off this part of their merchandising rights, basically. Like, oh shit, if we close the book on Mighty Morphin, there will be a finale to it. But leaving it open-ended means we can print $1 million fucking dollars, not Hasbro, it milks nostalgia for till the end of time. They're still reprinting.
Yeah.
They're still reprinting Gen 1 fucking Transformers, for God's sake.
Because they're glorious, that's why.
You really think they're going to make an 87th reprint for the Lightning Collection of Mighty Morphin?
There's one I want like a new edition of, but I know it's gonna look terrible.
Oh, you mean because it's got a closed box? It's got a closed.
No. I meant for like the Gen 1 Megatron, their original toy. They can't make that anymore.
No,
because he's a gun.
Right.
Like accurate looking gun.
You seem to underestimate the power of the orange tip.
It looks awful with that.
I mean, you walk down 5th Street with an orange tip, you still might get shot. In all
you
fairness.
will get shit. People's gotten shot for like toy guns that are like. You think that one scene in like what's that movie, Die Hard, or what's it, Die Hard? What's the cop talked about shooting a kid with a ray gun?
It probably was Die Hard, because I remember the line, I shot
that kid.
The line from Die Hard where the cop, to give context so that I'm not going to be like having people going like, oh, console disposal console. It's a line from a movie where they where the character says, I shot a kid.
1 second. It was parodied on Cleveland Show too. Yeah, it was Die Hard. It's a fucking GIF. It is a top search GIF.
Yeah. But it's just like there was so many like obviously not gun-looking guns, and people got shot because of that. It's like some people are just trigger happy. Well, enough about that.
Yeah, I shot a kid, Cleveland Show. Oh god, it's. Anyway, let's get off that topic. You're right. But yeah, no. So like I don't figure this would have any effect on Hasbro, but Saban and their dumb brain probably was like, yeah, we don't want to close the book on this chapter because then it will stop printing us money, and that was still to that day and now the most reprinted toy on the planet. But I genuinely am like 100% completely blown away with this. It definitely succeeded any expectations I have for it, which I'm very happy for, because it gives me high hopes for like original footage being utilized in Cosmic Fury, for one, because we did hear we were getting original footage for that. And it does give me a lot of hope for moving forward with the franchise and the ability for Hasbro to produce their own original footage, because I figure we'll go for that.
And it's not like it's like, oh, they just need to keep reusing. No, I was like, new ideals. They won't have as many restrictions, and that in certain seasons they didn't use almost any of like the footage.
Yeah, there's a graph out there for people who are skeptics in this of like how much footage was used per season, because we pulled it up before we even started this.
A great example of that is like season 3 of like Mighty Morphin Power. Like they scarcely used like actual footage, other
to the
like
point where
than
like
the Zord fight.
Like, and our footage kind of got printed over there. So like there was
but there wasn't that much of that footage.
Yeah.
Also as well, it paves the way for like not really not really mature as in like, oh, we have to have a lot of swear words and
Yeah,
bloody
not
scene.
not Family Guy levels of
Yeah,
thinking
but
mature.
more like what was done here, because this seemed like the aside from RPM, this seemed like the most adult Power Rangers thing ever,
Yeah.
especially for Mighty Morphin.
Well, I mean, this also opens up the door for something I've wanted for a while, and I know I'm beating a goddamn dead horse because, like, half the fandom wants this. But this gives us the ability to adapt stuff like Shattered Grid and a lot of these other more mature storylines that are in the comics as well. Like, we don't have to stick to, like, live action anymore. We are in an age where, like, even an animated telling of Power Rangers could be a thing. You know?
Yeah,
I'd be fine with animation, but
yeah.
I kind of still want the live action
Yeah, like-
somewhat because
Definitely.
We could run them concurrently, even.
Toku
like-
fan.
Yeah, like what they've done with just speak up it. What they've done with Star Wars, how they started with the character of Ahsoka, how she started off as an animated series, and now she's in live action with characters from Star Wars Rebels.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, so we could do something similar to that with Power Rangers, like have somebody voice a Red Ranger for a animated original, and then bring them into live action for something completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Now. Well, Walfex has gone away quickly. I feel like we need to discuss another thing that's a tradition with these videos, and that is the Ranger roll call. So, Tyler,
Alrighty.
did you get it all?
Yep. In total, there were 5 morphing times. That is one morph. That's one catchphrase per 11 minutes.
Wow.
Billy had 2, Min had 2, Zach had 1, Rocky and Kat had 0.
They should have gotten. They should have gotten one at least.
I mean, I wish everybody would have got one, but
Me too.
it was 55 minutes. We couldn't get something for everybody.
Yep. This leaves Billy with a grand total of 15, Zach with a grand total of 10, and Min with a grand total of 2, tying her with Sestro.
Yeah. I'd actually, speaking of Mim, this actually again opens up the possibilities of her being the leader of a team in an animated series with the actor doing the voice.
Yeah, like there's a lot of possibilities we can go with here. Obviously, like moving forward, we can't touch on Trini, and even though Trini is like a major focus in the actual comics, this could potentially lead Min's actor to play Trini's voice in an animated series. But live action, I think it would be met with like a little bit of reprehension because it would feel dirty, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we created this character as a surrogate to wrap up that story. So, like, her Min's actress could be like the voice in, like, say if we did an animated short or series or something like that. Also, we could potentially see this character utilized in the comics because it is property of Hasbro. So, it could, you know, lead to some interesting things there moving forward because we definitely are in a dark timeline in the comics right now. I'll say that. So there's a lot that we could do moving forward with that. But I know Tyler has some stuff to do here shortly, and I figure Zangetsu wants to get some sleep, and it's pretty late for you, Luke. So
Yeah.
some final thoughts, moving forward things.
Final thoughts for me is that they knocked it out of the park with this one. I only have a few minor gripes, but they're like oil drops in the sea of awesomeness that was this special.
I have my. Go ahead, Tyler.
I was about to say, for me, my final thoughts on this is I'm very surprised that it was able to touch a heart of a Rangers virgin, and I gotta say, good job to the team. PP butt sex vagina.
Okay. Zangetsu?
Really good production quality. Like, I really like the new monster suits they used.
How much do you think these toys will
I
cost?
actually love the putty suit. Like,
Yeah.
really good.
Effect-wise for the putties, too, that was surprising for me.
Although I do miss the, like, original stupid claymation break.
The claymation and shitty third-grade green screen.
Yes, because of how ridiculous it is.
The shattered glass sound effect, you know.
Yes.
The metal smacking against something that's not metal.
Yeah, they kind of didn't they do that more with like Zed's? Buddy?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. I got their sound bite here somewhere. Give me a second. Something along. Oh god, that has a 10-hour loop. What the fuck? Why?
Oh my god.
Here, this is
Just
free,
a
right?
10-hour loop of fucking funny.
There we go. Something like that. But like bass boosted, but pitch shifted.
I see.
But it's definitely like, for me, I put it. I agree with Luke. This is definitely like right around the level of Forever Red. That one will always be. I think nostalgia-wise, that will always be my favorite special.
Yeah, I agree. But this comes very, very close.
Yeah. I think if we hadn't used Trini so much as a plot device for this, it would have ranked a little bit higher for me. But I understand the need to do it in this one. The only other like thing for me is I picture these being like deluxe figures, like Cyber Slizzard and Robo Minotaur, and being like $45 figures because this is fucking Hasbro we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, and just one more final thought as well. Richard Horvitz and Barbara Goodson nailed it as Rita and Alpha, just for the fact that it felt like they had never left their roles.
Yeah, having spoken to both of them recently at conventions, like, I knew something was going on behind the scenes. I know Richard Horvitz mentioned that, like, it's very hard for him to do the original Alpha voice now because he's so old. So he's kind of had to, like, pitch shift it moving as he's gotten older, which makes sense because that's how voice acting works. So it's harder for, like, a male to get that really high voice as they get older. So I understood that and the need to kind of do this, like, pitch shifty effect that it seemed like it was being utilized here. Almost to where it sounds like Invader Zim was being channeled, as Tyler put it while we were watching this. But for Barbara, it sounds like season 1 fucking Rita. Like, Jesus Christ.
And watching the special, anybody who watches it, you can tell that she is having a blast voicing Rita again.
Yeah, like, it's something that she's mentioned she's wanted to do again for a while, so it's always nice to see actors get to reprise roles that they missed.
Also, the fact that it's kind of depressing, no matter what happened, she's, like, in a robot body and has magic, but she can't cure the migraine.
She still has the headache!
You know, also just touching on plot points that are medical related, it seems about spot on for American healthcare system for it to take 30 years to fix a broken back. That's a deep cut. I feel very, very sad making that, but Jesus Christ. Having to deal with the American healthcare system right now has me in a very salty mood. We need socialized medicine here. Fuck it. I'm saying it. The last thing I want to say is we have ZO film. We'll be filming Turbo in the next few days, it seems like, at this pace. Maybe 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got In Space and Lost Galaxy to kind of wrap up the Zordon era, and we'll be putting that up. I cannot wait for YouTube to process a 10.5-hour video by that point, because I think ZO was 2 hours long and throwing all those other seasons on it, YouTube's gonna fucking hate me.
Did we really talk about Zeal for over 2 hours?
It was an hour and 45 minutes on Getsu.
Oh wow!
I had to edit that
Yes, I
shit.
fucking love Zio.
Forgive me for the static image that is overlaid on that because my dumbass had to do a lot of like blurring. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play it safe and make sure there's no sensitive information or no oopsie daisies from the group chat. So let's just get a static image put over it. So the first chunk of it is just gonna be like a static chat image from like second 001, and everything else you'll see like our little heads.
0101. Sorry.
The numbers, what do they mean? But yeah,
They mean Common Rider 01. I just told you.
they mean Vex is a fucking idiot and may or may not have displayed their whole ass social security card on screen.
Oh
no.
So yeah, that's why that's got a static image over it. But yeah, so look forward to that monstrosity, and then if you listen to this on any audio source, that'll be an audio on like Google and Kindle and whatever else. Anchor shits our stuff out too still. But see you when that releases in probably 3 months. Peace.
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 Infinite Turbo.